That's the sound we don't hear very often at the beginning of this stream. What must be happening here? It must be Ishikawa-san, I think. One of the printers coming early this morning. Yeah, I recognize your footsteps. Good morning, good morning. Early. Hayai desho. So, your package is out. Say hello to the stream here. We just started. This is Ishikawa-san.
映ってる？
Oh, right here. You're in this one.
はい。フクロウ自信ないです。すいません。フクロウ自信ないよ。だってたまたまできたかなんかだまだよくわかんない。自分のものになってないからすいません。
はいはいはい。
れいちゃん結構うまかったね。30何枚。
ああまだはっきり見てない。
薄いけどでも。
あまだはっきり見てない。
そう私まだちょっと。どうしたら完全にできるようになるかがすいません。
ルーの方が袋出した、それから昨日の夜どうした上に干してあるものはどっちかどっちちょっと待ってください。そうですね、左側にあるものはどっちかな。今昨日は金井さんのためのものも作ったんです。それ石川さんのものも作ったんです。どっちか左覚えてない。上に2種類ありますから、石川さんの紙、竹長ですからちょうど半分にカットしました。6枚だから12あります。金井さんの紙は短くしてカットしました。だから幅が足りない。ちょ
っと短いね。
そう短いものは金井さんの紙です。
金井さん何枚ですか？も枚数違う。
10ですから。
ちょっと少ないね。
それ20ありますし。これ12ね。
そうですね。はい、わかりました。はい、わかりました。はいはい。で、
袋
袋はまた別なんですね。今日じゃないんですね。
まだじゃないです。
はい、わかりました。はい、ありがとうございます。
全部竹投げです。
わかりました。ありがとうございます。
Excuse me, guys. Hang on. Sorry. Okay. Good morning. Sorry to ignore you there. Excuse me. That was Ishikawa-san coming in for her work. She usually these days works on the weekends rather than weekdays. That's her family setup. And the other printers, the ones you meet during the week, Suga-san and Ei-chan, they work during the week and not the weekends. So today she'll be up there by himself. Cables. We switched to a Cat 6A last week, up from a Cat 5, and it made a tremendous difference. So 6 or 6A, I don't know. But there has been a difference. Also, when I bought the 6A cable last week, I went to the place. I didn't buy it off Amazon. I went to one of the electronic shops to buy it here. And they had it in a whole bunch of different types. They had flat, they had round, they had hard shelled stuff. And they were all marked 6A, 6A, 6A. So I bought the one that was soft and round. I didn't buy the big, thick, fat one. It was hard to coil because we need to coil it up when I'm not using it. So I don't know what shielding is in there or what's in there. I don't know what at all. It's quite a thin cable. In fact, I got it right here. This is it. It's marked as category 6A. It's quite thin. It's about 2.5 millimeters. It's totally soft. It's round. It's not flat. And holy crap, it made a difference. So I don't know anything about what's inside it or what kind of shielding is there or what's going on. All I know is that it sure works. Anyway, the work today. What's the work going to be? We're going to finish off. I'll finish off the sky block that we started yesterday. And it's going to be a mix. I've got a few bits of foam to carve in here. That'll just be a couple of minutes work. And then it's going to be, it's going to be noisy because I've got to use the persuader. I've got to get the block cleared out. So it'll be quiet work for 5 minutes, noisy work for 10 minutes, and then quiet work for the rest of the stream while I clear all the details out. And what else do we have here? There'll be no wingman here. It's the weekend. Cameron is off today. Day-chan won't be here today, so I'll be here by myself right to the end of the stream. And what else have we got? If this is finished, I'll be able to... if this gets finished, I'll be able to move on to the next one. And we do. I prepared yesterday but didn't have a chance to use it. I did prepare a bit of show and tell. We have a package that I received Thursday afternoon. A lucky auction we got. Not lucky, we bid for it. But so remind me about that later on. And we can look at some show and tell. But I think I had better just simply get to work here. Yesterday's stream was fun, wasn't it? I don't know how much printmaking, chatting with the people, but this stream has become X% about Japanese printmaking, X% about a window into some specific workshop in Tokyo. It was fun chatting with Rei-chan and Cameron-san. There aren't really going to be any other people here doing that. You know, Ishikawa-san today, for example, went upstairs to work. She's not really interested in sitting here chatting with you guys. You know, not in any evil way, but she just is here to work. She wants to get to work. Can't quite see this clearly, you know, with this. I think what I'll do is I'll zoom in. Use the scope. Excuse me. Looks good. Okay, over there. I can zoom in closer than a bit, I think, for into the scope. Let's try that. Enhance. Now, something else about these foam bubbles that I'm carving now is that, as I mentioned yesterday, they're going to have to be carved twice in exactly the same place. Normally we would really try and avoid that situation, but because we're going to need 2 sky blocks for this print, because it's a print party, you know, normally for us 1 sky block we could print it twice. Print it first with a light gray tone and then second with a dark black just behind the mountain. But in the party room, the blocks have to be side by side because different people have to use them at the same time. So we'd have to carve the same thing twice. Now what I did yesterday, you saw me, I was just drawing it. I sat here drawing the foam. I can't draw it in the same place twice. So after I've carved this one, we will print this, transfer it to a different piece of wood. And that will give me a chance to get it in the same place. The other thing I should remember to do here while carving this foam is try not to make them all the same size and shape. You know, I quickly scribbled like little square boxes here, but we don't want square foam. We don't want round. In Hokusai's original, the foam is all different shapes. They're not little round blobs. They're rough blobs, zigzag. Am I visible or am I getting in the way of the camera? You can see the nice hologram on the back of this blade. Show, look at that, beautiful. We're now coming, of course, into the rainy season here in Kanto. And I think the announcement was made by the weather services, I think it was yesterday, the day before. We've now arrived at the rainy season. I think it's a few days earlier than last year. And the humidity, it's wet, wet, wet. As I sit here now, it's early morning. I've already had a shower, but my shirt is already starting to feel soggy and sticky. That's our weather now for the next, right through till the end of summer. It's going to be hot, humid. Drizzly rain might not be so bad. The rainy weather, it's easier for the print parties because the paper doesn't dry out quite so much while people are doing their impressions. People are slower than us in the print parties as printing. And in the crisp winter weather, the paper dries out like crazy. And we have to really be careful to keep the paper moistened and moistened and moistened while the people are printing. But for our own work, the winter's not a problem because we know how to keep it moistened. Just as a matter of our normal job, we keep a water brush and we slap the water on as we need it. So we can easily control the moisture during the winter. In the summer it's more difficult. When the surrounding air is too wet, our paper tends to get too soggy and too wet and tends to go moldy because it's warm and humid. We have more difficulty keeping it dried out properly. So for us, we would prefer winter, absolutely. But for the print parties, it's much easier in summer because basically the paper just stays moist right to the end, even if they're really slow. And there's no danger of it going moldy because the whole thing's over in an hour anyway. But for us, when we're doing prints that last, a week or more, or whatever, the mold is an ever-present danger. So no, this is not our favorite season at all, printing-wise. And there's always the struggle over the air conditioner. We've got an air conditioner now up in the printer's room. We installed it last year. And there's always a struggle. Some people want it, some people don't. Some want it strong, some want it weak. It's just endless fighting. No, they don't fight, but it's endless source of friction. When I was working by myself in Ome, I never had an air conditioner, but it wasn't so bad out there. It was away from town, it was in the countryside, and I had the river right there, so if it ever got too hot, just splash in the river for a while. But here in town, it's deadly. Just nothing but concrete streets, and the heat is just deadly. I hear a question. Which questions? Yes, there's one in the box. What have we got here? I can't easily answer. I think I tried to do this a while ago. Someone's asking me, will we be selling the Gampi transfer paper from our shop? At the moment, I can't do that because I can't get enough of the Gampi paper. We just sort of have enough for our own usage. When we got the last batch of this paper, I bought it from Actually, I bought it from a retail paper shop. This was quite unusual. Our normal printing paper we get from the maker, the people who make it. The Gampi paper, I couldn't find anybody who was making it. So I went to a famous retail shop, Ozuwashi, here in Tokyo, in the Nihonbashi. And we would never normally buy paper from such a place. They have our own printing paper there, the Iwano-san Living National Treasure paper. But the price is maybe 3 times what it is we pay Iwano-san for it, because they're selling it as single sheets at retail. We buy from the manufacturer, which would be, a wholesale price. But anyway, for Gampi paper, I couldn't find a good maker. So we went to the retail shop, Ozuwashi, and I bought 4 or 5 different types, 3 or 4 sheets of each of the different types. And you've seen me actually using it and experimenting with it over the past year or so on this stream. Sometimes I would say this is type X or type Y or something. Some of them peel easier, some of them don't peel so easily. I've been experimenting with it. And my hope had been that after experimenting with the papers that I had bought from the retail shop, I would then be able to figure out and find out the maker and then contact them directly to buy it in larger batches, both for ourselves and for selling on the stream. But that retail shop doesn't give out any information about where they got their paper. I've even asked them and they said, whatever, just buy more if you'd like to get more. So I still don't know where it comes from. And we haven't really spent a lot of time with this because we don't have a lot of time to fool around on this. But I'll get Cameron on this maybe, I think. If you remind me about this on Monday or Tuesday, one day when Cameron's here next week, it's like, not like he has nothing else to do, but if I can have him explore a little bit about this, and if he can perhaps find the maker who is making the Gampi and supplying that retail shop, we can try and then put in an order with them at a wholesale level, 100 sheets, 200 sheets, whatever it is they want, and we would then be able to sell it here in our shop. And it's really, really light. It would ship easily overseas, no problem. So if you remind me about that on a day when Cameron's here, we can maybe look into getting that project pushed forward a little bit. But at the moment, all I have for my Gampi is the stuff that I'm buying retail here in Tokyo. The shop I buy it from, they have an English website. It's Ozuwashi, O-Z-U Washi. They're in the Nihonbashi area of Tokyo. And I don't have it handy right here at my desk, but I have the catalog numbers from their stock list of the 3 or 4 types that I've been trying, including the one that's a bit thick that does that fantastic peel. So short answer, can I supply it wholesale right now? I mean, can I supply it to you guys right now? No. Would we like to do so? Yes. Okay, I think we're nearly finished the foam here, which means it'll be time to get some noise. Make some noise. We don't need the bright light for that step. I don't know what's going on in the conversation here, but whatever. Now, classic mistake when doing this, I've made this mistake before, I've got to really be careful. So we've got a visual thing here, the wave, and there's a background. And this particular block is going to be the background block. So when I start carving here now in a minute, of course what I want to do is take away the wave and leave the background. But I've made that mistake before, you know, your eyes see the thing as the thing, its object, and you start carving, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. This is what the yellow color is, of course, to help me figure out. Leave the places that are yellow and carve away the parts that are white. But it's so easy to screw up, you know. Okay, here we are. Noise is coming. I better move the mic up, I guess. I don't know if it makes any difference. I'll move the mic a bit higher. Don't know if it makes any difference. Then we better zoom out a bit here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, time to make some noise. Yeah, I thought I've got the scroller running here that says what I'm doing, but maybe people don't see that. I don't need it. I don't know. Okay, leave the yellow, cut the white, Dave. Oh, okay. I'll remember. Move the camera away from the table. Gotcha. Earthquake. no problems. I don't see any capital letters screaming, Dave, do something, do something. Seems all right. Hardcore ASMR not, eh? So, whatever, I'm about halfway through it. In just 3-4 minutes of hammering, it'll be back to the quiet world, so can't be helped. A few more minutes. Watch a wood carver's stream, and that's what you're going to get, is wood hammering. So. What paper? Gampi? I don't know. Gampi, 90% Gampi, 10% wood pulp. I wouldn't worry about the wood pulp in the Gampi paper. The Gampi paper, we don't make our finished prints on it, eh? It's just for the transfer. So wood pulp would be a problem for longevity. It would go brown or something. But for the transfer paper, that's not a problem. For the transfer paper, what you want is stability, stability, stability. The Gampi we use is strong, strong stuff. If it has pulp in it, I don't know, and I don't care, because it's not something we're going to keep around forever. What I want is stability. It doesn't stretch, it doesn't fool around, it's stable. We're doing it, we use it with the backing sheet. You see me, we've got the yellow backing paper. In the old days, before they used it with backing paper, what they would do with the Gampi paper is they'd size it, of course, so that it's stiff and strong and hard. And they would size it really strongly, so that actually pigment had trouble going inside it. Because again, what you're looking for in the Gampi for transfers is not a beautiful impression. You're just looking for an impression, but you're looking for stability, stability, stability. So sizing it really strongly. And what they would do also is after sizing it, before taking the transfer sheets, they would get a blank piece of wood with nothing carved on it, and they'd take a barren, and that Gampi paper, they would kill it, rub it on the front, rub it on the back, rub it sideways, rub it lengthways, stretch it out, get it stable and pressed and flat. And those sheets then they would use for doing their transfers. We don't need to be quite so critical with it because, as I said, because we're using the spray glue, making the double layer paper, that keeps the thing stable without worrying about it. So if you've got pulp in your Gampi, I don't care, it's irrelevant to me because it's just going to be transferred. That's the one we peeled off yesterday, or the day before. This is the part we peeled off. I could actually use this. Okay, as I said, a few more minutes of noise here before we settle down. Hard bit of wood here. switch to larger chisel here, I think. Excuse me. Stuff sliding all over the place. Well, yesterday's conversation, learning how to read Japanese. I've never studied, never studied, just picking it up as I go along. I know it's my character. I can't sit in a class situation or whatever and do things. So, of course, there's lots of stuff I don't know. My knowledge of Japanese is very pointillistic and patchy. I've picked up dots and dots here and there, and I miss stuff. I'm not worried about it. I'm just picking up what I can pick up and ignore the rest, you know. No formal education here whatsoever. Cameron sounds different. He's actually, you know, gone to classes. Japanese 101, Japanese 201, whatever. So he will end up, at the end of the day, knowing more than me, you know. Maybe. Okay, what's next? Let's get going. Come on. I've got to leave room for a bigger, our own registration marks would normally be very small. But for this print party we need a much larger. I showed you the other day on the key block here. The registration marks are a giant flat landing zone, so people can put the paper and stuff in. People can bring the paper right in, landing it like that, you know. Meishi, all this stuff on the desk here. So we need a much wider landing zone. We'll keep it back somewhere around here, maybe. It's too much for me to read here, I'm sorry. What time is it now? It's 8:44, okay, no problem. We'll do some show and tell, maybe near 9 o'clock or something, I don't know, let's see. Gonna be a hot one this afternoon, I can feel it already. Okay, I think that's enough banging for a while. That's enough banging for a while. I don't want to do banging for the whole stream, you know. There's still lots more to do, but let's do this. Let's switch. I've got clearing to do here. Let's just switch a little bit. What we can do is, it's no fun just to do banging for 90 minutes. It's not fair. What would normally happen now, I do the banging and clear out everything all around the outside. Then I switch to the inside and do the clearing. But I don't have to do it all in one piece. Let's do it half and half. Crap on the desk here. let's switch. But also let's do the show and tell. What do we got here? You guys talking about something? So, good night, Persuader. So, fair enough. Let's do some show and tell. What we've got here are some prints. I shouldn't be publicly exposing somebody's address there. This is a package I received in the mail a couple of days ago. It's something I bid on Yahoo Auctions. We're buying stuff for our own. We buy stuff for the flea market here. Used old prints, we buy them to sell. And in the middle of the stuff we buy to sell, we also now and again get stuff that looks so nice that we want to keep it for ourselves. Or I've had to pay too much for it. And when you think about this, when I'm buying prints to sell in the shop here, I go to the auction and I have to be able to sell the print at a fair price. So I can't buy it at a fair price. If I pay for a print what it's worth, I can't add our profit on our markup on our margin and then sell it because it's going to be too expensive. So for the goods we sell in our flea market, I have to be able to buy really, really low. And it's not just me who is buying. These dealer auctions are full of all kinds of other dealers, and they're thinking the same thing as I am. So it's really, really frequently the case that the prints just go too expensive. Some of the shops downtown, they are selling to collectors who will pay higher prices. So those guys can bid more than I can afford to bid, because most of our customers here are tourists. I was going to say just tourists, but they're not print collectors per se. They're tourists. So I'm limited in how much I can bid for any item, whether it's on Yahoo Auctions or whether it's in the dealer auctions or whether it's to my friend Wade-san who is buying wholesale. I have to be able to buy it low enough so that I can sell it at a fair price. So that means it really, really restricts some things we can get. But now and again, something comes up on the auctions where I think, hell, I'm not going to sell it. I want that myself. And that means then that I can afford to spend more for it, because I'm not thinking about having to resell it. I don't have to buy it wholesale. I'm the person who is paying the fair price. And this is one that came up last week. Somebody found an old album of Senshafda, the old prints that were labels. We've got some in our own catalog here. They had their origin in things like name labels that people would order and then stick up on temples to show that they had visited that temple, stuff like that. In the early 20th century, they transitioned to being a deal where people would collect them in groups. Anyway, long story short, let's have a look at some of this stuff. What I got, oops, it's already mixed up. Hang on, let me sort it out here. Here we are. What I've got here are 4 pages torn from some collector's album. So I zoom out a little bit first to show the whole thing. We'll zoom in later. This was if you look at these as being album pages, it would have been bound in an album. There's 4 pages, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the album must have had about 100 pages. And some dealer got it, got his scissors out, chopped it all up, and put them on Yahoo Auctions here in groups. And what he's done is he's looked at the theme of the prints that are inside, and he's put them in groups. And I bid on 2 of the groups, and I lost one because it went, how much did I stop bidding at? And I stopped bidding at 38,000 yen, which is about $400, I guess. This one I didn't stop, and I ended up getting it. And what they are, as I said, the genre is called senshafta. And the typical size for one senshafta is about like this. And as I said, they had their origin in name labels to go on shrine gates. That's stopped. And then in the early Showa, late Taisho, early Showa, they became collector's objects. In that groups of people, maybe 50 guys, 60 guys, 100 guys, would form a senshafta group, a collector's group. They would think of themes, arrange for designs to be drawn, and they would send it out to a woodblock workshop to make, for example, for the 100 guys to make 100 sets. They would all put their money in, and we've got on these things here, we've got their handle name. They didn't use their own real names. They made up their own sort of name, like you guys have done for the Twitch stream there. And each person's name is carved on these, and he would have put in X yen, X dollars, to sponsor the whole project. Then when the 100 sheets or 200 sheets came back, they're all separated out and given to each person. And some guys stuck them in an album, some guys put them in a paper bag, whatever. They did all kinds of things with them. This person did something that was horrible for me. He trimmed it. He got his scissors out. He trimmed each one right up to the black line. Then he pasted it into an album with dirty, awful, pulpy, rotten paper. And my first job, or when we get a minute here, I'm going to have one of the staff ladies do this. Our first important job is going to be to put this in the bathtub, soak it all off, and get these things off this terrible backing paper, because it's degrading day by day by day. Just like you do with postage stamps. You soak them off the envelopes. Anyway, so these are woodblock prints, all carved and all printed. And what they would have done was, what you see here, I'm going to outline it, that's one single print. It's designed so it looks like there's three on the same sheet, but it's one single print. But that would not have been made as a single print. They would have been made in gangs, maybe about like that, or maybe as much as this. What you see here might actually have been, say, one wood block carved on a key line, carved with color lines and whatever. So the whole set, I haven't counted them yet. How many people? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 8 per page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 full pages, 7 full pages plus the opening print and the closing print. So it's 56 guys would have been involved in this particular project. Unless there's pages missing, which I don't know about, of course. And this one seems to be, I haven't studied it at all yet, but it seems to be kabuki print related. And I think what they've done is they've perhaps made a collection of different kabuki actors or different kabuki plays. I don't know yet, I'm sorry, I can't read a lot of the archaic writing here. And each person would have picked a theme, called up some kind of design. And the guys in this collectors group would probably have just done a quick sketch themselves and sent it off to the printmaking workshop, where the sketches would have been cleaned up, cut in wood blocks, and then printed. Let's see if we can zoom in a bit on some of these, because these are so beautifully made. Where's the scale? Well, you can see my fingers. That's the scale. Look at this. This one is in imitation of tie-dye, shibori, with his little tiny dots carved. This one, same thing. These are all carved with the little dots. The carving is delicate, and the printing. Look at this. This one has gradations in the middle of that kabuki mask. Not sure what level of zoom here, because we've got to show the whole thing, but show some detail. This is a difficult one to present here. Let's just, maybe if I just rotate bit by bit, have a look at some of these. And somebody's asking, if I put these in warm water to soak them off the background, no. The pulpy paper will dissolve quickly. These woodblock prints will not dissolve. And it's a really interesting thing about woodblock prints. They're water-based pigments made on a soft Japanese washi. We make the paper soft to put the pigments in, and common sense tells you, you can't just soak that, put it in water, but you can. I will put this whole sheet in a bath of water, and these things will just float off. And none of the pigments will be affected. I can't give you that as a general rule. There are woodblock prints made here that have soluble pigments. Some of the Meiji era kabuki prints, you put them in water, you'll get a purple red mess after a few minutes. So don't just take this as what Dave said. You can wash any Japanese print. I know which ones we can do and which ones we can't. So please don't take that as a general rule here. And there is so much for us to study here. This one they've used on a metallic powder. I don't know if you can see it, if I can get the right angle, maybe. There it is. Look at that. See it? I'm not sure what the object is. They might be sake cups. They might be canisters for tea. I don't know. I've done absolutely no research on this at all. And I got lucky in that, perhaps because of the bad condition, perhaps because this is on such terrible paper, it didn't have a lot of bids. Somebody else bid against me, but he dropped out pretty soon. And I was able to get this for, I think it was 9,500 yen, which is about $90 or so. So I'm very, very happy. We won't be selling these. These are for our own collection. And other than the bad paper on the background, they're really well preserved. It just keeps going on and on and on. Here's another one that uses metallic pigments, if I can get the, there you are, see it, if I can get the light right. And the detail, just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful detail. They took the trouble to do nice gradations. And again, the tie-dye, which is what they've done as a theme for the back. I tell you, when the carver first got this job, he must have looked at this and thought, guys, couldn't you have picked another theme, anything? And all the name labels, every one of them is carved. Can I zoom in? How far will it go before it loses focus? Maybe we can, oh, there we go, that's the limit. Let's go back off a bit. Height. Get my finger in here for scale. Here, these are carved dots. They've carved a circle without popping out the little dot in the middle. You saw me just now carving that foam on that key block, or on that hook-side block to show. I just carved out rough circles and stuff. You have to carve out the circle, but leave the dot in the middle. These guys are nuts, absolutely nuts. That was just the job. You're a carver, you do the job. I zoomed in a bit too far, but whatever, let's keep the zoom in here and try and find some of these. They're so nicely printed. I mean, look at that. They've got this little hat. They've gone to the trouble of printing it as a gradation. We're zoomed in too close, but let's see some of these. The miniature landscapes. Oops, sorry. And the carving is so tasteful. Every last little stroke of the carver's knife looks like a brush stroke. The colors are all beautiful. There's no date on this, but this would be, we think, me and Doisan looked at it, we think this would be immediate post-war, maybe late 1950s or perhaps 1960s, somewhere around there. No, carving out circles and hammering in a needle. No, you just do your job. You just carve it. This is, I've done this before myself. You know, you just do it. You just carve the circle carefully, very shallowly, and just carve around to leave the dot in the middle. It's just a normal carving job. The guy would have done this in a couple of minutes. What he would have done is he wouldn't have turned his block around. What he would do for this, and what I would do for this, is you get your knife, and you carve the left-hand side of each one. Chup, 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 you know, left-hand side. Chut, 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 very lightly. Then you flip your block around, carve the right-hand side, and then carve around the dot in the middle. It's no big deal. It would be easy, quick work for an expert carver. You know, for us it looks like, oh my God. But it's just all in a day's work for a carver. Let me flip the page again. It's going to get out of area here. And there's endless scope for research here. You know, all the different objects that are being shown here. This is a temple bell. This is a hat from somebody from an old era courtier's cap. This is a shuttlecock and battledore. It's a New Year theme. Here we are, a fan and a halberd. What's the name of that thing? You know, there's endless choice for looking and trying to figure out what these themes are. A washing tub and something I have no idea. Can't identify that at all. And every little one beautifully, beautifully carved and presented. No idea what that is. It's an upside down wooden box. And then to finish it off, what they did was, I'll zoom out again here. We can't show all these things, there's so many of them. Let's zoom out a bit again. Usually these sets were presented with all the individual prints that would go to each member. Like I said, there's about 60 of them here. They would make the full set in about 100 copies. Each member gets one. And then there would always be some kind of closing sheet and some kind of opening sheet. And the opening sheet here explains what's going on. It's unusual in that it doesn't have a date on this. They're usually dated. And it's written in the style of characters that go on kabuki signboards. It's clearly a kabuki theme here. And I'm sorry, I just can't read it. I can see some of the names, but I can't read the text. It's just too stylized. And then the closing theme is the last print here. And they've done this in imitation of Meiji era carving. Still no date. We've hunted around to try and find a date here. Nope, can't find it. And we have, in the very last print, we have the carvers and printers. And this is going to be a big clue actually, because my friend Doi-san has a huge database showing when each carver and printer was active. And the carvers and printers names here are going to be really helpful in dating these. And it's got Hori Takaishi, a name I don't recognize. And it's got Suri Sendei, and I do recognize Sendei. There's a family here, the man is still a carver, Sekioka-san. His father's name was Sendei, and he was a printer. And Sekioka-san's now about maybe 50. So his father as a printer would be a generation above that. He's long dead now, but he would be 90 or something if he was still alive. So maybe this is certainly post-war, and my guess is 60s, and we'll see. The carver printer database. No, it's just it's an Excel file. You know, he doesn't have any net presence, Doi-san, but and it's all in Japanese. So no. So yeah, and if we had endless time and nothing else to do, we could scan these and put them online, make a nice collection. But for now, they're just going to be, as I said, first step, we've got to get these off the backing paper, because that's really important. And then they will just go in my album. I've got already at home, I have got, with no exaggeration, I'm sorry, I have thousands of these at home already, and this is just an addition to the collection. At some point it needs to be researched a bit, described a bit, put online maybe, put on exhibitions. Maybe that kind of job comes from my retirement years, who knows. Okay, let's put this away for now, let's get back to work. Zoom in a bit. Okay, for those of you who haven't seen this before, after using the large hammer, the next important part of the job here is to smooth out the bottom of the oceans. We've got continents and oceans now. And the bottom of the oceans, although they will never print, they won't appear in the finished print, of course. They have to be smoothed out, basically smoothed out. And again, this is because if I leave any of these catches or sharp points here, then when we are printing with our brush, those sharp points pick up pigment and pick it up and pick it up and pick it up some more. Eventually you get spots. That pigment builds up and up and up and up to the point where it touches the printing paper. So we want to get the bottom of the oceans at least basically smooth so they don't catch pigment. Some people don't do this. Modern print makers don't do it at all because they never make lots of copies. But anybody involved in a production environment making many, many copies of the prints needs to do this. I sharpened this yesterday. It's beautiful. It just cuts like a razor now. Woo! I sometimes delay too much in the sharpening. You know, I'm not a good boy in that aspect. It's going to be a lighter day in the shop today. It's a bit of a drizzly day outside, which will cut the number of people down. And we have light parties. It's only 2 parties reserved today. Tomorrow we're booked solid. I think there's 4 parties, all full. Yesterday was crazy full. Today it's a bit lighter, and I'm not complaining about that at all. So I might even get a chance to head downstairs, because Kawai-san and Koizumi-san can handle the parties, I think. I might be able to head downstairs and do some work. Next job for me is I've got to build either the work on the counter space where the cash register and stuff will go, or I've got to work on the coffee bench where the coffee supplies will go in the party room. That job is waiting for me. Someone's asking, did I bring the sharpening tool from Ome? No. I haven't seen Ome in weeks. I should just make another one of those stones, you know. I think I hear the door downstairs, which must be Kawai-san, I think, coming in for work today. It's Kawai-san and Koizumi-san today. They'll be doing the parties, and I'm running the shop. Am I still on? Ah, I keep moving around, don't I? Sorry about that. Hang on, where am I here? Sorry about that, excuse me. It's hard to keep it in one place when I'm not using a microscope. That keeps it automatically and set in the same position. What's this question about the chat? My God, it's going by quickly today. I'm sorry, I'm not anyway catching what's going on here. I try and, it's all saved here. I'm copying bit, but, oh, here we are, kawaii-san. I try and read it later on in the evening. A couple of days ago, I just missed the whole thing, so whatever. Let's talk about porcupines. So where are we? 9:20. Okay, we're about time to finish off here today. I know, whatever, it hasn't been as interesting a stream as yesterday was in terms of, whatever, people and discussions and topics and stuff. I can't do that every day. I mean, please remember, this is not a TV show. We're not producing a show for you. This is my workbench. And some days it's a quiet scene, and some days there's more visitors, and we can talk about different stuff. But so today was a bit quiet. Sorry about that. But again, that's life in our workroom here. So. Maybe some future Mokuhankan.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kawaii-san. Come and say hello. Don't do the bowing. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Relax. It became too much of a joke. It's all right. Just say hello. so, 挨拶だけで10。Yeah, no problem. So. All right, so we'll roll this up now. Today's Saturday. It's been a quiet stream. Tomorrow is going to be pretty much the same as this. I'm going to be working on this block, which means there will be a bit of banging and a bit of clearing. And if I do manage to finish this one, I will then move on and do the transfer for the last one, which will be the sky area behind the Mount Fuji. There's something else too. I've got to get busy now. I received the package of washi paper for the share certificates. So I've got to get going on the printing on that. And that might be coming up on one of these streams. It might be a job I'll do in the morning. No idea. No promises. We'll see what we're doing. So tomorrow's stream will either be continuing this carving, perhaps printing, or crap, I don't know. Maybe I'll be doing more sizing. I don't know. I'll be here. Anyway, back tomorrow. Thanks again. See you in the morning. Let me just pop up one more time. Okay, guys. Thanks very much, and I'll be back here again tomorrow. Bye-bye. Whatever we brag about, whatever we've got left to brag about. Bye-bye.